Hi everybody. As you can see, the defoliating has been proceeding. And I have been filling up some barrels. In fact, I've even gotten so far that you can actually tell that I've done something. More than a fourth of the way done. But considerably less than half. I have managed to get my boiler expanded to full size, and I've got it set up to convert some of that steam into flaxbeard steam so that I can charge my armor. One little problem though. It did not take long at all to go through all of my creosote oil supply. Which means I need to find another form of fuel for this boiler. And I'm thinking actual Buildcraft petroleum should fit the bill just fine. Now I could just run over there with a bunch of tanks and a pump and fill up the tanks, but that sounds boring. So my plan is to build a railroad instead. And as it turns out, I have already dug an area in which to put my refineries. So we're going to put some floor here and some railroad going up there. Okay, I have gotten a reasonable start on the refining station. We'll have tank carts coming in here and unloading at this fluid unloader into this fluid tank, through the refinery, to the fluid tank for the actual fuel. And I'm still laying the actual track, after which I will be placing the pump and the fluid loader for the other end. And then I can put in the actual carts. Okay, a simpler setup than this would be hard to come by. And I've got it powered with redstone engines, which may be a little weak for the job. I will have to see. I can see that it is putting RF into the pump. And from there into the fluid loader. Which is going to hold this cart until it is full. And hopefully launch it in the right direction when it is. There it goes. Wasn't supposed to do that. Booster track should hold it until it... I guess that rule has changed. Okay, so I have confirmed that this is working properly, and that's the good news. The bad news is that this particular oil puddle is empty. There's more oil out here, starting with right over here. And I'm pretty sure there's some bigger spouts around here too, if I can find them. So I'll just need to extend this railway a little. But in the meanwhile, I can at least check and make sure that this works. And to do that, I have got enough creosote oil in here that it should be able to get the boiler to produce enough steam to run these engines. Well, I used up all that creosote oil just to get us up to 31 degrees centigrade. It's very sad. It is in fact time I started on a tree farm. Past time, really. And we can use the saplings to convert into ethanol for fuel in that boiler. I decided to go with the RotaryCraft tree farm for a couple of reasons. Mostly because I have not actually been able to find any apatite. And so, these farms don't need it. All they need is water and the occasional refill of lubricant and some saplings to get it going. And a fire underneath. I probably should have actually used netherrack for this now that I have it. Why does that only have 2 buckets? Set for 60. I'm not going to light that up until it's got the right amount. Well, I don't know why that one's not starting up, or why it's not loading up with water. But that's okay. I've got 2 other farms going. And I've got some bone meal to show how it does its job. I decided to plant both spruce and oak. The spruce because that's what I started off with, and all of my logistics pipes recipes are set to work with spruce wood. And the oak because apples, basically. Okay, got this one to take water. I just had to fiddle around with it enough. So in mere moments, we'll have 3 trees continuously growing and being chopped. And going both into storage and into creosote oil production, as well as charcoal production. I may want to build a solid fuel boiler if I build up that much charcoal. At any rate, I've doubled my rate of production, so we're going to wait until all these tanks fill up, and then we will use it to fuel up this boiler and let it boil some steam for a while. And produce power for this. We have managed to produce a little bit of fuel, but I want lots more. So even once this is done, instead of pumping more oil from the desert, we will be producing biofuel and then ethanol to put that into the boiler. So while I'm waiting for this to fill up, I may as well kill some time and chop some more leaves. And our creosote tanks are finally full. Which means we are ready to dump them into our liquid-fueled boiler so that they can produce the steam and power to produce the petroleum fuel. So 16 buckets of this. And we are warming up. And once this reaches 100 degrees, we will have these engines running, putting the power to our refinery, refining that oil into fuel. Okay, it's been about 11 minutes, and the bad news is we've got, 2 or 3 buckets left in the tanks upstairs. But the good news is we have just hit 100 degrees and we still have 14 buckets of creosote oil in the actual boiler. So we're starting to build steam, and these should start running at any moment. Any moment. Any time at all would actually be just great. Yeah, we're down to a half tank. There's no more creosote oil forthcoming, at least not at a rate we can use it. But the heat is still rising, at least. They use a lot more fuel when they're heating up, and I guess creosote oil is probably not the best heating agent. And we're out of fuel. I was at least producing steam before. We still have steam coming up. Each of these gates are sending a redstone signal to tell the engine to run as soon as they get some steam into them, which is going to require a bit more pressure than it's got. And the temperature's falling. And we've just hit 100 degrees. And, oh, all right. The engines are running. I don't know exactly how long they'll run on this amount of steam. I hope it will be a while because it's all the steam it's going to get. And that may not be good. I'm not sure whether these pipes are set to blow when they've been overfilled. But let's at least check on the refinery, which is going pretty nicely, except that it's not receiving any. There it goes. Okay, that keeps it separated enough so all that power is at least going where it's supposed to. Just not for very long, it seems. And that's all she wrote. That's all we're going to get out of the creosote for now. And let's see, I know we started out with 128 buckets. We're down to 123. We've managed to produce 14 buckets of fuel, which is actually pretty good, I suppose. But we're going to need more. 14 buckets is not going to be enough to get this thing going again. And I haven't actually attached this to the system yet. So what I'm going to do is build at least one more tank for creosote oil and see if I can fill it up. And with about 4 times the capacity of the glass tanks that I've got upstairs, that should be enough to refine a decent amount of fuel. And in the meanwhile, I will also be expanding my tree growing operation so that I can ferment those into fuel as well. So, I have gotten a lot done this episode, but as far as the primary objective of getting big power going, kind of a bust. We'll see if we can't improve things next episode. Until then, have some fun, build something cool, and have a nice day.